Hi, welcome to the Toilet Paper Diaries. We've got a Star Wars theme today because it's all about being able to feel the Force, Luke, and become a mindset mentor as we share with you today the top 10 skills you'll need to succeed in a post-coronavirus world. All that and also the dark side coming to you on the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Welcome to episode 97, Dave. And right now it looks like if we are in Elon Musk colony in Mars, but we are not.
That's what his hotel's going to look like. People are paying $1 million to go and stay at his hotel, and it will be like this. I mean, can you imagine? Just go and get yourself a drink of juice. You say, right, I'll just have a drink of juice, and then you got to try and catch it like that. All the bits of your drink will be everywhere. It'll be mad, just floats everywhere. Be cool, though.
That'll be very cool. So today we're going to be talking about mentorship, and we're going to be tied a little bit to Star Wars. And the reason why we are doing this is because right now that we are just in the last bits of the pandemic, which I hope. I mean, right now, look at what's happening in India. It's just going crazy. So we do not know if it's actually the end, but I mean, we definitely need some more skills. So possibly it's a good idea to figure out how could be our own mindset mentors, or how we can actually get other mentors like they did in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the elephant in the room. Basically, before we go into this, when we talk about India or any of the other countries, it seems to be that the West seems to be doing best, and everybody else seems to be not able to get enough virus, or by the time they do get it, it's mutating too fast. But we don't want to dwell on that particularly, because by the time you watch this, you might be watching it 5 months after we broadcast, in which case, hopefully, everything will be sorted out. So rather than dwell on it, let's just get straight into it. Now, talking about mentors, every single movie that I've ever watched has got a mentor in it. Well, not every single. I don't think Bill and Ted. Oh, yeah, but did. Rufus was a mentor in Bill and Ted. Even the Star Wars stuff is all built by mentors. Superman, Batman, everything's got a mentor who's been around. But Star Wars more than anything, because if you want to be able to fast track in your business, you have to get a mentor. And the best ones were, well, I mean, I'm more of a Star Wars geek than you are. Do you love Star Wars, or are you just kind of?
Well, I saw the first 3 episodes, which I think it was 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
I never see 1, 2, and 3. I never saw them, or the other ones. I mean, I have not seen them. So I mean, those were.
I've seen them all about 4 times, each of them. That's how geeky I am. In fact, when I went to see Star Wars first time round, do you remember when you go to the cinema and you'd sit in and watch a movie, and then if you sat in the same seat, they'd start the movie again. So you could spend like 5 hours watching a movie, because that would go all the way. You probably don't know that. But you would have to sit through the B movie that had to warm you up first. And they'd put the lights up for you to go, or you'd not leave, you'd sit there, and then you could watch the movie all again. I don't know if you can still do that now, and I don't have the patience for it. But I sat in and watched Star Wars twice. And then I went back again and watched it twice again, because I couldn't believe how cool it was. So That was me many, many moons ago, probably actually when Star Wars was made, because it was like 5,000 years ago.
So on episode 4, which is actually Star Wars itself,
yeah,
you have Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No. Episode 4 is A New Hope.
So which is the one which is the first one, the Star Wars?
It's not called Star Wars. It's called A New Hope. It's from books. Star Wars is the title of a whole series, but A New Hope is the episode 4.
And then we go into The Empire Strikes Back, and then The Empire Strikes Back, he goes with Yoda.
Yes, to be mentored. So he's mentored originally by Obi-Wan, then he's mentored by Yoda, and then he's strong enough to go out on his own, but he's not very good at playing basketball because he's only got one hand because he had it chopped off by Darth. and then it all comes back. We won't dwell too much of a Star Wars bit because not everybody's into Star Wars as much, but the key elements of having a mentor is key. So for instance, on the dark side, you got the Emperor who was mentoring Darth Vader to be whatever he turned out to be. In fact, you find out later on, it was actually Obi-Wan who was mentoring Anakin Skywalker, who then went to the dark side because the Emperor had pushed him into it, and he became a Sith Lord as Darth Vader. But on the light side of the Force, Yoda started off mentoring Obi-Wan many years ago. Then Obi-Wan mentored Luke Skywalker, and then you find out in the last three movies that Luke was mentoring Rey, who's the female protagonist in the last three movies. And you find out later on that, and I'm going to put a spoiler here, so go la 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 if you don't want to hear, but Rey's surname you find out is Palpatine. And guess what? Palpatine is the name of the Empire. It's his granddaughter or something. So I've just ruined Star Wars for you, but I haven't really ruined it because it's kind of expected anyway when you start watching it.
So here I have a question for you. What is a mindset mentor?
Well, mindset mentor is somebody who ultimately is responsible for making you in a position where you can move forward, because everything you do comes out of your mindset. If you don't believe the world's going to help you, then the world's not going to help you. If you believe that you've got to do it yourself, then you've got to do it yourself. So if you're a negative person that thinks the world's terrible, if you're basically saying to the world, saying to your mind, notice terrible things about the world, and that's what it's going to do. If you think the world is great but it's flawed, then your mind will look for things that are great but flawed. So a mindset mentor is somebody who will work with you to get your head in the right space of how you can move forward and become more successful. And ultimately, then you become independent. You can do it yourself, which is what mentoring should be about anyway.
So why is it so relevant that specifically now, where we are after X amount of months, year and some months of pandemic, why is it now so important that we actually encourage everybody to find not possibly one, but possibly even more mindset mentors?
Well, I think because we've never been through this before. And so the challenge is, how many people have been through a pandemic? Well, maybe people who've lived through the Ebola and the bird flu and SARS and all that other stuff have got a better idea about how to deal with it. But we've never had a global pandemic the way that we've got this thing sticking around. And so we've never in our lifetime been through the experience of what you need to do to move forward. All we can do is reach out for people who are very good at cheerleading and very good at pointing out ways to get over challenges. And motivational speakers are usually very good at this if they have a track record of having been through it in their history before. Lots of motivational speakers just talk about stuff that they've read in books, or they use other people as examples. That can be useful, but ultimately a mindset mentor is somebody that you can turn around, look at their track record and go, they know what they're talking about because they've done it themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. But now my doubt, and I think it's just something that needs to be very clear for everybody, which is listening to this message. I mean, would a mentor that was possibly successful prior to the pandemic, would they be as effective right now after 13, 14 months, 15 months of the pandemic, after the pandemic?
Yeah, I would say so. And I'll tell you why, because in order to be successful, you've got to have an open mind about what you're doing. We should look at those skill sets in a few moments. But ultimately, if you were successful before the pandemic because you reinvented yourself and you're able to move forward and you're flexible and you pivot and you see the ground that you're working on, you create a roadmap, then you're able to do the same now, because that ability is all about getting outside your comfort zone and working out what should be the new ground that you need to work in. If you've only ever been inside your comfort zone, then when you get thrown into your discomfort zone, you have no idea what to do. So I would say that people are successful before are still going to be successful now, mainly because they also know a load of tricks that work now. So with that, Ernesto, being said about a mentor, what are the qualities you think you should be looking for when you actually go to select somebody who's going to lead you to the promised land or get you over that challenge in business?
Well, this year has been interesting because, of course, I mean, a lot of the mentors that I was following, they were as lost as each of us was. So, of course, you find somebody that it's already producing the results. It has relevant. I think that's the important word. relevant experience. I think that's also super important. And, in my case, I believe that this is the time of reverse mentoring. Right now, these full 13, 14 months that we have been in lockdown, I've been learning from younger generations, and that has been a really interesting experience.
I agree with you, but I think you've also got to look at finding a mentor that's willing and open to share their expertise.
Yeah.
Because many people typically, when there's a challenge and there's financial challenges, go like that and they hold on to stuff. And it doesn't mean that they've got the right stuff, but I think that having that openness and that willingness to cross-reference as you move forward is a really important thing about working with a mentor as well. So
Yeah.
it's that willingness to share.
Well, what I like for me, whenever I'm trying to find out, because sometimes when you're working with a mentor, that doesn't mean that they're going to be mentoring you through the phone and whatever. I mean, sometimes you're emulating what other people are doing. So whenever I see somebody which I would like to emulate, or whatever, somebody I would like to mentor me or whatever, one of the things that I like is their enthusiasm and how they share their experiences. Obviously respectful if I am actually talking to them in a one-on-one basis, and their eagerness to invest in others. And I think that's just an important one, because as you were saying, I mean, if you want to hold all this information and don't give it away right now, I think it's just so critical whenever you see somebody that they are willing to share. It's not the me, I want to absorb, I want to take it. Share. That's an important thing. That's an important thing that I actually look for whenever I'm looking for a mentor. How about you?
Well, I was going to say that, I mean, you and I have been our own little mastermind group for like best part of 20 years. And one of the things that we've always done, even if it's painful, is just giving each other honest and direct feedback. I remember a couple of months ago, we just basically opened up about each other, about what we thought of stuff. But we've kind of gone through the biggest challenges of the pandemic. And so there are little things that I was doing, little things that you were doing that we really need to be able to bring to the surface. And I think that ability to turn around to somebody and say, I think you're wrong. I think you should be doing it like this because, first of all, it's irritating me, but it's irritating me with good reason. And then the ability to not just give direct feedback, but also to take that feedback. So you got to work with somebody who's capable of taking it on the chin and working out what is it that they really mean and what can I use that's positive to allow me to move forward. That mentor-mentee relationship has to be working. Otherwise, you end up saying it to somebody, and if somebody's not willing to be mentored, then you're wasting your time because they're going to walk away, and it doesn't matter what you tell them later on, they'll hold you accountable without doing anything to make it true.
Yeah, I agree with you. So now if we start thinking about it, because we already know that we might be seeing the end or the light at the end of the tunnel with this pandemic. There's several skills that we need to have, and possibly some of them we don't have them already. So in your eyes, what would be, let's just put together 10 skills that we know that we require after the pandemic. What do you think will be the number one skill?
Okay, I think that this is an underappreciated and misunderstood skill. I think the first thing that people need to understand is leadership. The ability to lead is so important, but it's not what people think. It's been taken out of context to only mean CEO or manager. And a manager is not a leader. A manager is a person working with a structure to be able to get people more efficiently from A to B. A leader doesn't think about efficiently. A leader thinks about the examples that they set, the way to move forward. When you've got, a leader who leads from the troops, humble leader, then you've got somebody there, a servant leader, who's working to enable other people, and by enabling other people, the whole group becomes more successful. A leader could be a dad or a mum or a brother or a sister or an uncle or an aunt. They don't have to be necessarily in business, but they have to be able to find out how to move forward. And I think what we've got in this post-coronavirus world is the amount of people starting their own business. If they're doing something different, even if they're doing it on their own, then they are leading the way forward. So leadership's got a lot of different titles on it. What else do you think people should have?
Well, for me, my second one, I think it has to be patience. First of all, the world has changed. wherever you go, we have seen that people were going crazy with the Karens, with the Kevins, everybody fighting with each other. I mean, we are in a complete different world. We need to understand how, I mean, what has happened through through people's lives. Also, we should be patient because we do not know what they went through. I mean, one of the things that it's an interesting thing. I mean, I went through the death of my mom because of COVID, and yeah, I mean, I am in many cases very, very hurt. So whenever I see things, I am not the same person that I was 13, 14 months ago. And I mean, my family is patient with me. And I believe that you need to be patient with other people because you have no idea what they have gone through. So this is just a super important skill that you need to really develop in order for you to survive in the post-corona world.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I'd say number 3 is your flexibility and adaptability. So you have to be capable of knowing that nothing is the same as it used to be. And you've got to be ready to turn around and say, I'm willing to throw out things that I've always been relying on because they don't work anymore. But I'm also willing to learn from others because the end result is the end result is the only game in town. Where are you going to be? How will you know you get there? And what will you get when you get there? So it's a journey to take yourself to that situation. Lots of people are waiting for everything to snap back to the way it used to be. But the first thing that you and I did was we went online and we started a TV show out of our depth, but we just said, let's just broadcast and let's share some ideas with people. And it was jumping and growing wings on the way down. And that ability to do it and change things. I mean, we're in Star Wars today. I mean, if people think we're in Millennium Falcon, then great for them. We're not actually in there. It's just a set. But the willingness to try things that are different just for fun and just to see what happens is a major skill. And many people can't do it. If you've been working in the same job for such a long time and then you get thrown out to work at home and be a remote worker, it's a real challenge for many people to get your head around the fact there's no water cooler, there's no easy conversations to have with people just outside having a cigarette. You really have to plan things better and get used to being motivated on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another one of the key elements of this whole thing of how you're going to change that mindset, it's going to be your strength and your fortitude. I mean, we have seen, I mean, we are entering into a world which it's going to, I mean, I believe that it's going to turn around. But right now we are in a bit of a hardship situation, whether it is economically, whether it is emotionally. And one of the things is you need to support the people which are around you. I mean, I need to support my family. I've been telling you how hard it has been to support my now growing teenage daughter. And for this, you need to be the strong person. I mean, for many situations, you need to be the strong person. You have to have that fortitude. You need to be that solid person, which is going to be for other people. So sometimes, I mean, you're going to have to be that strong person, which everybody needs. And that's one of for me, it's one of the things that I have to really work on, because as I was saying, I lost somebody that I loved tremendously. It makes me feel very, very weak, but at the same time, I need to be strong. So that's one of those things that, of course, sounds great as a recommendation, but it's harder than you can believe.
I would say that strong doesn't mean tough. Strong means strength of character.
Correct.
And I think that's involving your empathy and your ability to be weak and cry and get things out of your system and understand that experiences around you should not be ignored. They have to be absorbed into the new version of you. Otherwise, that strength is taken the wrong way and you will crack at some point. And the challenge is we've gone now, 14 months of lockdown. And so it's not impossible to say, right, we'll last a year. I'll do a year, I can do it for a year. But then when it goes on another 2 months, what are you going to do it could be we're gone this forever. So you need to you need to be ready to adapt to that. And I think that your strength of character, your empathy to others, but most of all, your empathy to yourself. Be kind to yourself, be selfish a little bit, because if you don't look after yourself, you're no good to anybody else.
Yeah, I like very much what you were saying, the new you,
That's
because
exactly it.
it is exactly
Exactly.
what it is. I mean, there's a new you, 100%,
So
100%.
with that, I would say number 5 is your critical thinking, your ability to say that something is right, something is wrong, and really go deep down into what it is. It's no point covering things over and BSing yourself or anybody else, but you also have to be able to look at things in front of you and work out what is working, what isn't working. Because even if you're running a business, you might think what I've always done before works very well, but then you find that the trends have moved and people don't want to do it that way. The guys who've done best out of all this are the techie companies, people like Amazon, for instance, who said, you know what, people are going to need to order stuff through us. Let's make sure that we get stuff to them faster and we make it better to package and so on. So that ability to do critical thinking is essential for any business person if they want to be successful in the future. It always was in the past, but these uncertain times need you to really dig deep.
You know which one I for me, it's right now one which is going to make a big difference. And for this one, for most people, they don't really have a mentor, and this is the right time to get a mentor. For this, it's going to be the technical. Right now, you need to be technically savvy into things that prior to the pandemic, you didn't really need to be technically savvy. So right now, I mean, one of the things that we have been doing is we have been mentoring people in how to become better at broadcasting. Right now, we're broadcasting live. Right now, we have a different background. We have the right lights. We're doing the right things. We have the music. We have the entries. We have all these different things which we have learned. We learned from other mentors, and now we're also mentoring our clients and our friends. And it is just so critical right now. Anything that has to do with video, it's super important that you learn to master. All those technical things that possibly could be delegated might not be that important, but anything that has to do with video, it's absolutely critical that you get hold of a mentor and start figuring out how you can actually get and implement it, because this is just going to be super important at these times.
And the importance about tech savvy is not just about your ability to understand video. There's also about your understanding of digitalization and digitation, your ability to turn around and say, right, the supply chain is different now. My staff are different. My staff are remote. So in order to run my business, I have to have tools in place to be able to talk to them all properly. Sometimes Zoom, sometimes using Slack, sometimes using WhatsApp. Lots of different ways of connecting with people and also changing your business model. And if you can get tech savvy enough, then you save a fortune, because of course, the great thing about sending digital stuff to people is it costs you virtually nothing to send something when it's digitized. So I think the tech savviness is also the insight into what your new business would be like and what your sales funnel should look like, and also what's the end product that people truly want. I think if you do it right, you save a fortune, it can make a fortune.
Yeah.
So the next thing I would say is something I touched on earlier, which is enhanced communication and emotional intelligence, your empathy, but also understanding that when you communicate with people online, it's very different, because you can see everything, but also not the body language apart from what you're actually looking at. You can get Zoom fatigue. And there are other platforms that happen the same way, of looking at somebody for such a long time. And if you're looking into somebody's eyes, you'd never normally do that in a conversation for as long as you do when it's digitized. So there's also things you should say, things you shouldn't say. You got the protocol on whether you should have your camera open or keeping it closed, your microphone. All these different things are part of your communication. But your empathy is really dialed up to 11, because when you're talking to somebody in a business meeting, and you're doing it on Zoom, you really have to be super attentive to what they say, what they don't say, and also what they don't know that they're not saying as well, in order to be very effective. So there's a load of skills that come together with this.
I agree 100%. On number 8, I would like to say creativity and innovation. And from the very beginning, when we got started, we started being very innovative. We knew that everything was going to go on video. And we started being very innovative. Right now, we're doing things that we were not doing before. And then you go into the creative part. I mean, you start really learning on production, post-production. Right now, we're in the Millennium Falcon. We can do all sorts of things. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the virtual world. And if we, apply ourselves to learn how things work, we could be a lot better. I mean, just look at Tony Robbins. I mean, Tony Robbins right now he's running a advertising in YouTube, and he's running an advertising in Facebook, where he's talking about how incredible it is now that he's doing events online. And I was also having a conversation, I think I mentioned it the other day. He was saying, well, when the pandemic started, I lost 96 million because of not doing businesses, because not doing presentations on events. And right now he says, well, don't feel very sorry for me, because right now I'm making 325 million, because right now I am reaching a lot more people. So this is an era full of opportunities if you are creative and you're innovative and you let go of whatever you thought it was going to be in the back. I just saw a couple of days ago one of the big event organizers that was saying, well, events are back, because there was one event which was really big happening in Florida. And I said to myself, how short-minded. I mean, in my eyes, this is possibly a one-off of people that don't want to mask themselves, and they don't care. They are anti-vaxxers or whatever it is. And they're just going to that event. In my experience, I haven't seen any big events happening around the world. So yeah, the important thing is you need to be creative and you need to be innovative.
I've done 2 big events in Dubai where they had masks, they had social distancing, we had 10,000 people coming through to Jitex every day, and the same with Gulf Food. And it was a very different experience. Nobody was packed in. The government had people making sure that you didn't walk around and eat and drink at the same time. You put your mask on. If you're walking, if you're eating and drinking, you sit down so you don't spill it, you don't have any reaction to anybody around you. And even though Dubai's been out of lockdown now for about 9 months, they're super careful about what those rules mean. And they're happy to turn around at a moment's notice and say, right, event's cancelled because we've got a spike. And I know that Dubai would do that if that was the case. So I think that what you have to be able to do is look at the landscape. Because I'm being called all the time now for in-person events because they're starting to invest in making them happen. I do believe that they'll all happen, but I also believe that they'll only happen and stay happening if they put those things in place to make sure that people are safe and that they also keep others safe by not spitting on them and make sure they wear masks and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. I would say that part of the way of being successful in the future then is having an open mind to change, an open mind to new ideas, an open mind to what you can do for yourself. Whatever you've done before might not work in the old world, but in the new world. It doesn't mean that you can't adapt and find something new. You literally can keep innovating and be doing different stuff right up until your last day, but you also should keep an open mind to other things that people do, because sometimes you get offered something and go, no, that's not going to work, and it's only because you were blinkered. When you look back at it, you go, oh my goodness, I mean, how many times you had Bitcoin before, didn't you? You actually had Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And the amount of people who've kicked themselves saying, oh, I wish I'd bought something, but just didn't have an open mind to change. I think right now, investing in tech, investing in people who know what they're doing, and creating your own TV show as a side hustle or as your main brand and your main business, but getting yourself out online is something that's massive. Most people won't do it because they haven't got an open mind to where this is going. They prefer to go, no, it's not me. And I think that's a huge mistake. And we'll see in the duration of time.
Yeah, interesting. You're just reminding me of somebody we both know, that we're going to keep him nameless, which after a year suddenly decided to pivot doing a show but he started doing the show in the wrong platform, because what happens is that this platform that he's using is not actually keeping the evidence of what they have been doing. And I think right now that creativity, that innovation has to be there. That's going to be what you're going to be proving in the future of what you have done and what you could do after the pandemic and during the pandemic. So one of the things that I applaud from him was the risk taking. So he took the risk, a little bit too late, but he took the risk. He started the show. Hopefully he would have listened to us and he would have done the show in YouTube instead of that other platform that he's using right now. But anyway, the important thing is that there's going to be risk taking, and you're going to have to take some measures and do things differently. And sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to work. And it's just a matter of moving forward, trying things. And if you feel that you do not understand, ask for a mentor, ask for somebody to help you. That's just, I think, the most important thing. Dave, this has been, in reality, growing experience, these 13, 14 months that we have been in lockdown. I mean, the amount of information, the amount of knowledge, the amount of experiences, the amount of emotions that we have felt, I think is like if we would have lived an extra lifetime.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, from a point of view of the digitization of the world, what was going to happen over the next 10 years happened in 1 year. Going from everybody in an office block to everybody working at home, that would never happen in the real world, but it happened pretty fast as soon as people went into lockdown. So I think that risk taking and all the things that were mentioned on that list are essential skills that many people will still say, no, I'm in denial, everything's going to be fine. But I think that for those of us who've had their eyes open, and maybe it's an entrepreneurial mindset when you're used to rescuing yourself because you don't get a proper wage at the end of the month, you've got to go out and create it all the time. I think there's a certain ideal flexibility and openness and hunger for doing things differently. And if there's anything that's happened with this pandemic and the lockdown, the challenges, it's doing things differently is the only way to move forward.
So what are your thoughts? What do you think are the other skills that we didn't mention? Please let us know on the comments. If you think that this information has been useful, make sure to share it with other people. And because every time that you share it, every time that you have a comment with us, every time that you just spend some time with us, that serves the algorithm purpose, and it will actually help us reach a lot more people. Dave, we have done now 97 episodes. We're getting closer to the 100 episodes. Are you excited about it?
I'm always excited, Ernesto. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do because we've got to work out what's going to make that show super special. But I do know that whatever it is going to be amazing. And I think that when we start getting into doing it, it's going to blow people away. So look out for the 100th episode. It is on the way. We're not sure what we're going to do in it, but whatever it is, it'll be worth hanging around for. So with that, Ernesto, I think we're done with it.
Signing off from the Millennial Falcon.
Millennium Falcon. May the force be with you, but may you say it properly next time we do this show.
All right. Look after yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.